Welcome into the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Another edition. Another Saturday comes and goes. Alex, we're 2 weeks out from week one of college football. Next week, it's week 0. But in 2 weeks, our lives will change.
Absolutely.
The show will change.
Absolutely.
We will no longer be the Saturday show. We will enter our cocoon, undergo metamorphosis, and come out college football Saturday 2 weeks from now. And until then, we just sit here and wait.
We'll just sit here and wait for the college football season. Really excited. Really looking forward to everything getting going. There's a matchup that I think a lot of people here locally will be intrigued by as far as week 0 goes, which is, of course, the one of the Big 12 teams, TCU, who is one of those teams that I think a lot of people look at and really wonder where they're going to be this season. And so I think a lot of people will have interest in watching that game against Bill Belichick and UNC.
That's tough because, remember how much hype that game had last year? And wasn't it a close game? I don't want to say it was a good game, but it was close, if I remember correctly. And it just turns out that both teams were not very good.
Yes.
I mean, TCU was all right, I guess, but
they ended the season a lot better than they started it.
UNC was just such a disappointment. I have a feeling that's the same. I don't know. Maybe TCU comes out and just stomps UNC this time around.
It ended up being 48-14. It was 7-7 after the first quarter.
It was not a good game.
They didn't score in the second, and then TCU put up 21 in the third quarter.
That's right.
So it was 48-14.
Well, probably expect much of the same again this year. So that is next week. College football season is almost here. But Alex, you've got a new gig, dude. Congrats.
I do.
Your first week is in the books.
I do.
New producer of DJ and PK, man.
Absolutely. Every morning I'll be hanging out with DJ and PK, taking over for our guy Jake, and now I'm just excited to be working with them, excited to be there on the morning show with them.
A lot more tired.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a little tired this morning, but we're good. We're fine.
How many energy drinks did you go through during the week? Because I came in and I saw you. I feel like every time I saw you this week, you had one in your hand.
My energy drink consumption has significantly increased this week.
You're gonna have to get like a Costco membership.
Yes.
I don't know if you have one already, but
no,
just to go get your energy drinks.
Specifically to get the energy drinks.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't envy you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we took usually I would stick to like one a day. But this week we pumped it up to 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's ride the wave.
My bank account isn't appreciating.
You got the jitters? You got the shakes?
No, not really.
Okay. Good.
No, not really. Well, and then I forgot to, on my way home last night, I forgot to stop and pick some more up because I was out.
Oh, no. So you're dragging.
So I did not drink an energy drink this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's good to give the old body a rest. Give the old ticker
yeah, man.
a day off.
Yeah, we'll see.
Did you see, just since we're talking energy, and we're not going to start the show with this, obviously, we're going to get into some actual stuff. Did you see that there's like a panel of doctors that are petitioning the Big 12 to end their sponsorship with Monster?
Yes. I saw that. Me and Tim talked about it a little bit while I was sitting in with Tim this week as well. And we talked about it a little bit, and then literally we go to break, and there is an energy drink sitting over there on the shelf waiting for me.
And you cracked that thing open.
I cracked it right open.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
Take that, doctors. Well, yeah, we'll see where that goes. That's probably not gonna go
that's just another wrinkle to this whole Monster deal that everybody keeps, the more and more that happens with it, the more people continue to criticize it because it just seems like a bad deal for the Big 12.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't really care either way.
No.
I don't know. I like the white monsters. But seriously, congrats on the gig. That's awesome. Those guys are amazing people to be associated with in this industry. So, I mean, you doing stuff for them is wonderful for your career, even if it means coming in at 5:30 every day.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see
if that's a forever thing or not. Okay, let's get started. So for as boring as August can be sometimes, and you and I were just talking about planning the show. What are we going to play from camp? Are we going to play anything from camp? Because there hasn't really been anything, any storylines to follow outside of the drama part. And we've got drama on both sides now. Last week, we spent a little bit of time talking about Kalani Sitake and his unhappiness with the athletic department and the resources and yada, yada, yada. And we'll dive back into that because there is a new layer to the story. But then, of course, this week, the news comes out from the Salt Lake Tribune that the University of Utah is suing former tight ends coach Freddie Whittingham. And this did happen earlier in the week, so we don't have to dwell on it. But number one, it's nice to have kind of these life preservers thrown to us in the middle of August where we need things to talk about. But the biggest story is like Utah just cannot move on from the Whittinghams. But Alex, how do you feel about, I don't know, there are a lot of people kind of attacking Utah for going after Freddie.
Right.
There are a lot of people saying that it's Freddie's fault because, they're suing him because he didn't pay his buyout.
Yes.
So
Well,
who do you think is in the wrong here?
That's ultimately what it comes down to, right? Is, you look at any type of situation, any type of employment agreement, anytime where you have a contract signed to be somewhere, and then you just decide to get up and go somebody, absolutely. I don't think Utah's in the wrong here at all. If there is any type of clause in that contract, or is there anything where, in this case, right, the quote unquote liquid damages, the buyout, Utah's in the right here as far as just trying to get have him fulfill his contract, right? Have him fulfill the stipulations in his contract. Because if you go and you read the lawsuit and you go and you read the article put out by the Tribune, part of the problem isn't just the fact that, he didn't pay. The part of the problem is the fact that he went and had those conversations with the University of Michigan without receiving written consent from the university to do so, and then as well as just kind of packing up his office overnight and then leaving in the middle of the night and then not really informing that he was leaving.
Right.
Which is something, again, that is stated in the lawsuit. So it's not just the fact that, if he would have paid out the buyout and left, like, whatever, okay, move on.
Right.
But in the contract, it said, hey, if you are going to leave, if you're going to have these conversations, you need to do XYZ, and XYZ was not complete.
So there are two avenues I want to take this. First off, this happens all the time in college football. And 99% of the time, the universities don't care. They just grow up and move on. Let's address the elephant in the room. The only reason that Utah cares and is suing this person is because his last name is Whittingham. Let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
Right? They are upset with the way that things fell out after they decided they didn't want to bring Kyle Whittingham back to be the head coach. They kind of pushed him out, and that's a story that was well covered at the end of the year and beginning of January. And it just so happened that a top 5, top 10 job in the country opened up like 2 days after they kicked Whit out. And, of course, he takes that job. So there's bitterness on both ends. That's why Freddie didn't pay the rest of his contract or whatever. That's why Utah can't let this go, is because they want to have the final say. They want to feel like they are in the right. And again, if this is, I don't want to paint this, I guess, any of these other assistant coaches that did pay out the rest of their contract, I'm not saying that they would ever do this, but like Jason Beck, for example, would Utah care if this was Jason Beck instead of Freddie Whittingham?
Yeah.
I don't think they do, honestly. But then on the other hand, Utah Athletics is run by Otro Capital now.
Yeah.
Who's to say that they need this $300,000? Because
you got to save the pennies, man.
When you're talking tens of millions of dollars or however much revenue that these athletic departments bring in year after year, $300,000 seems like a drop in the bucket. But you look at Utah, you look at their financial situation compared to the rest of the Big 12, a lot of Ute fans might not want to hear it, but they're not up to par. That's why they partnered with Otro Capital. And this is a private equity company that, yes,
right,
cares about every single penny. So I look at that situation, and of course it makes sense that they're going to go after Freddie Whittingham. Those two things combined, duh.
Yeah. Plus, you throw on top of that, too, the claim in this lawsuit that the University of Utah is making that Freddie Whittingham was actively recruiting players to join Michigan while still employed by the University of Utah. It's just all a perfect storm of. It's just all a perfect storm of why you're in why you were in the situation that you're in, the drama that comes with it, right? Didn't pay the buyout, goes to the university, left in the middle of the night, as well as actively recruiting players to go join another school while they're still committed to that school.
Yeah.
And that is where the lawsuit alleges that Whittingham failed to devote full-time and attention and energy to being a coach at the University of Utah.
But again, everybody, you look at Mestamaker and the coach that are now at Oklahoma State, and they left, where they were at? North Texas, right?
Yes.
As soon as the coach committed, everybody knew that Mestamaker was going to follow him. Again, this is something that happens in college sports. This is just the landscape of it now. And 99% of the time, the little fish can't do anything about the big fish. And compared to Michigan, Utah is still a little fish. But I don't blame them for wanting to go after Whittingham in this situation. Because he was contractually obligated. And I know that I said earlier, most of the time they wouldn't care. If it wasn't a Whittingham, they wouldn't care here. But you look at the financial side of it, and Utah's been trying to play catch up, and that's the whole reason that they partnered with Otro Capital. They do need every penny. They do, well, and I don't blame them.
Let's not forget, you're paying $13 million to Kyle Whittingham to go coach at the University of Michigan.
Right.
So,
do they feel embarrassed that maybe they feel like they have egg on their face because of the whole, way that this has all played out, going back to December 26th?
Yeah, they have to.
So is this compensating for that? Maybe. But again, at the end of the day, he was contractually obligated to do this, and he breached his contract. So
yes.
It's pettiness on both ends. And because that aspect of it, I find really funny because we know how petty the Whittinghams can be. And Freddie, has not been in the spotlight nearly as much as Kyle has. But it's funny to see that, oh yeah, they're brothers. They're gonna have similar personalities, maybe.
Right.
they're equally petty people. But then you have the University of Utah and Mark Harlan, and what's the new branch called under Otro? I don't even remember what they're calling it. But yeah, they want their money.
Yes.
They need their money.
Yes.
So go and get it.
I think ultimately too, it's as far as looking at it from the University of Utah perspective. You're right in the sense of, hey, it's just time to put this behind you and move on. And as far as that goes, with the story all off season for the University of Utah has been the story of digging into the layers of what really happened with Kyle Whittingham, digging into the layers of Mark Harlan, his relationship with Kyle, and the way that his exit ended up happening. Now this is just another layer, another wrinkle to what's already been a messy departure for Kyle Whittingham, and ultimately, right, if Utah doesn't get to a point where they are again consistently competing for Big 12 championships, consistently competing to get into the college football play, I'm ultimately this is yet another stain to Mark Harlan's legacy as the athletic director at the University of Utah.
Yeah, the whole way that was handled, from the Whittingham fallout, and then attacking, him attacking the recruit after he switched and went to decided to go to Michigan.
Yeah,
after he had already
let's not forget that happened.
It's just another chapter, and you can look at even going back to a couple years ago of I was happy to be in the Big 12, but tonight I am not, and that whole situation. Again, there are just some things that have painted the athletic department in a bad perspective. But again, I will say, I honestly don't think this is that. I think it is being petty. I think it is fighting over pennies relative, because we are talking about tens of millions of dollars at the end of the day. $300,000 is not a lot compared to that. But if you are owed that, yeah, you have every right to go chase it.
Exactly.
And we just think it's a big deal because this doesn't happen a lot, because most of the time the universities don't care, because there's not a whole petty story behind it most of the time. But in this particular situation, Yeah, his last name's Whittingham.
Yes.
So it is a big deal.
It just happened to be that 6 of the 5 coaches that left with Kalani Whittingham to go to the University of Michigan actually paid the, whatever this buyout that Utah is now seeking. They paid whatever,
Right.
they needed to pay back. And so it states that in the Tribune article, the other 5 coaches did what they needed to do. It's not just the fact they're not singling out Freddie Whittingham per se. He's just the one that happened to leave in the middle of the night and didn't do what he had to do to get out of his contract.
Well, they're not singling him out, but again.
But they are singling him out.
They are singling him
exactly.
out. Because he's a Whittingham.
That's why I said per se.
Per se.
But it's just, I'm sure if, I don't know, Jim Harding wouldn't have done what he needed to do, he also would have been involved in this, right? But it's the other 5 did, Freddie Whittingham did not. So it's not just because it's not just because it is Freddie Whittingham.
I want to know what's going through Freddie Whittingham's mind. Like, if he's like, "Oh, Kyle, watch this."
Oh, dude, he took
Kyle. Kyle, I got a funny plan. I'm not gonna. You see my contract here that
I'm gonna
says
ghost these guys.
I'm gonna owe them money if I leave. Watch this. I'm not gonna pay it.
Oh man.
Of course they're gonna catch that and care because they have lawyers. I don't know. If you're gonna be petty, find a different avenue.
Right.
Because again, if it's written down in a contract, then yeah, you do owe that. So
one of the things that I thought was really interesting is, according to the lawsuit, the associate athletic director called Freddie Whittingham on January 1st and informed him that obviously, he is still employed. His contract runs through January 31 of 2027, and apparently that same day, the associate athletic director found Freddie Whittingham and his family members cleaning out his office up at the football facility, and then circled back an hour later, and the office was empty, according to the according
just
to the
an hour,
lawsuit.
huh?
Yeah, literally. That's what I'm
must
saying.
have a big family.
Quite literally packed up his bags in the middle of the night and said, "Hey, we'll see you later."
Yeah, and then the next day is when they were at the Michigan basketball game.
Yes. Yep.
So yes, this situation did happen very quickly. Man, that was just a crazy time. I remember we were in Las Vegas visiting my in-laws for Christmas, and just it was, if I remember correctly, it was December 26th when it was announced that Whittingham was not going to return, and then just a couple days later, the Sharon Moore stuff happens, or the next week, I guess, but. Crazy things change so fast.
Yeah.
Man.
Big shout out to @Osteomath, always tweeting at us every Saturday morning. Said Fred's last name is not the main reason that Utah is suing Fred Whittingham. Dude violated his contract. Utah was hurt by it, and Utah could use that money for NIL. I still don't understand why Utah had to pay Kyle anything.
Again, I get that it's contractually obligated. I feel like, and who knows, maybe, of course, if I'm, sitting here saying that Utah's penny pinching, and they have every right to, maybe they would care if it was somebody else. But at the same time, I kind of feel like if it was a different assistant coach with a different last name, they would just let bygones be bygones.
I would have to disagree with that. I think if again, just one of the 6 coaches that ended up leaving to the University of Michigan with Kyle Whittingham, if it was, let's say, it was reversed. Freddie Whittingham did do what he had to do to buy out of his contract, to pay out of his contract, did follow, what was outlined in his contract if he were to leave the University of Utah, and one of the other assistant coaches was in this fire, I think we'd be in the same situation, just talking about that other assistant coach, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the way that everything has happened. I think it wouldn't have been bygones be bygones. I think it just happens to have more weight to the story.
Because it's Whittingham.
Because it is Whittingham.
Okay.
Right. But I think regardless, if it was any other assistant who would have done the same thing, we still would be having this conversation just about that other assistant coach.
I mean, I could buy into that. I really could. And, you bring up the NIL stuff, and that is, a huge part of this.
Yes.
Because you're talking about $1 million. That's a decent player on a football team. And if you're looking at your revenue pool and how much NIL total you're paying out, if you add an additional $1 million to that, yeah, that could go a long way. So I could totally see that. And again, that's why I brought up the Otro Capital stuff, because maybe since they do have the overlords above of private equity telling them that every single cent matters, then maybe that is a whole other layer to this. And to your point, it would have just been a minor thing, suing former assistant coach, who cares?
Yeah.
But because his last name is Whittingham, then it's like this huge story because it's Kyle's brother.
And I mean, yesterday or was it yesterday? Maybe it was Thursday. I don't know. Whatever day that this broke, I think it was Thursday. Whatever day it broke, I remember scrolling through the old Twitter machine, and the headlines were, of course, very, they were a little baity, man. It was, of course, just Whittingham.
Right.
To make you think that, this is another wrinkle to Kyle Whittingham, but no,
Utah sues Whittingham.
Right.
No, not that one.
The other one.
The other one.
They knew what they were doing.
Well, of course.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
That's journalism, baby.
Oh, man.
Well, it's been a fun couple of weeks.
Yes, I think at this point too, obviously this adds another wrinkle to the situation. This adds another thing that you can talk about here in the dog days of August. But at this point, man, I just all I can do is laugh and say, "Get me to the X's and O's."
You know who's not a fan of this?
Who's that?
Morgan Scalley.
Yeah, it's unnecessary drama.
Exactly.
It's unnecessary drama that he needs days before the kickoff of the football season.
Well, in his entire coaching tenure at the University of Utah, maybe not 20, if he's still here from 20 years, if he's still here 20 years from now and he's able to establish his own legacy, then things will be different. But as of right now, he is hanging under the umbrella of Kyle Whittingham. Yes. He is in the shadow.
Yes.
And he is the new guy trying to replace the legend. And the last thing that he needs is more drama connecting, his employer to that guy, that legacy, that name. And, this is something that's going to be talked about on the broadcast, not necessarily that what they talk about on the broadcast affects what happens during the game. I'm not trying to make that connection, but just the fact that it is a storyline, it is something that's going to be whispered and rumored and maybe brought up to Morgan. I don't know, but it's another thing that he can't move away from as far as trying to separate himself from Kyle Whittingham. So, yeah, I'm sure that he's just trying to keep his head down and say, guys, let's just move on from this, please. I'm trying to be my own person. And this is making it harder to do that.
Yes. Just unnecessary drama that's surrounding the athletic department and the program days before the football season kicks off.
But nevertheless, we like drama. That gives us something to talk about in August.
Absolutely.
Speaking of drama, we will get to the BYU side of things next. We touched a little bit on it last week, but there is a new wrinkle to it, so we're going to hit that next. And maybe some other rumors going on. We might bring back the rumor has it.
Oh.
Rumor mill.
Oh.
We'll see. We'll see if we can find some other storylines.
Yeah, we haven't fired up that baby in a couple of
it's been a minute.
Couple weeks.
I miss it.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
We'll see. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. It's time for the Rumor Mill. It's kind of a fun little segment that we created a couple months ago to help us get through these times.
Get through the summer.
The dog days. Give us a chance to talk about rumors, things that aren't quite official in college sports, or I guess sports in general, you know.
Yep.
But today's going to be a little college heavy. But we'll start right here. This is something we talked about last week a little bit, but we got to rehash it because we do have some new news in this. So, Alex, rumor has it. Kalani Sitake not happy with BYU's athletic department over quote-unquote resources, whatever that means.
Yes.
I do think that's funny because we don't know what resources means. He kind of has come out and said that it's not so much NIL, like it's other stuff that could fall under the resources umbrella. But I don't know. That's a really vague term. That could mean anything.
Ultimately,
but he wants more.
Yeah. Ultimately, you know, when again going back to December when all this was happening, when he was asked about you know, why he decided to stay at BYU and why that situation was played out the way that it is. One of the first things and one of the things that stick out in my mind from that quote was the fact that he mentioned, you got to take care of my guys, you got to take care of my coaches, you got to take care of my staff. And so I wonder if that has, I don't know if we'll ever know for sure what the unkept promises are or what the what the quote unquote resources are, but that's just always something that's stuck in the back of my head.
You think BYU is going to pony up? You think they are going to right the wrongs?
Well, I think if there's anybody down there in Provo that you don't want to have upset, it's Kalani Sitake.
Yeah, well, he is.
Right, and he
so
is.
they let it get to that point in the first place.
And he is. But you've got to do what you can to make the Kalani Sitake situation right. You guys had Adam Rittenberg on your show earlier this week. Mm-hmm. There's a promo running right now where he talks about, look, Penn State isn't going to be the only one.
Yep.
People are going to come knocking. People are going to come asking. And if you're in a situation where Kalani Sitake is still upset at the program, there is a very good chance that if he has another season the way that he did the last 2 years, there's going to be an offer on the table, and this time I don't know if Kalani Sitake turns it down.
Not after all this.
Not after all this. Not if he's not if he gets to the end of the season and he's still upset.
Even if he is, if things are rectified,
and maybe now if things are rectified and that relationship has soured enough,
right? Even if things are rectified, that doesn't mean that his relationship with the athletic department is fully repaired.
Yeah.
This is always going to be sour apples. Kalani's always going to have this in the back of his mind. Kalani has been a perennial coaching candidate every single year, whether it was USC looking for a coach or Washington State or whoever. Kalani's name is on every single list. But you bring up, the back-to-back 10-win seasons. That's when you start seeing the bigger jobs, the national jobs, the Penn States of the world come calling. And that's a job that most people would be crazy to turn down. When Kalani turns down Penn State, the thought is, BYU finally wants to play with the big boys. BYU wants to put the resources out and be, I guess, on the same level as those Big Ten schools. That's what they told Kalani they would do. Then he comes back, and again, we don't know what resources means, but Kalani's saying that those promises have not been met yet. But earlier I teased like an interesting wrinkle to this story, right? BYU basketball added Jackson Kohler yesterday, the biggest transfer recruit right now because of this class of 2022 stuff.
Yes.
This is a very good player.
Yes.
That probably could have stuck in the NBA. And he played with the Utah Jazz in their summer league and yada, yada, yada. But he decided to come back to college basketball. Not cheap, by the way. And he happens to end up at BYU. So you think Kalani Sitake sees that news, and you think he was like, yeah, go Cougs? Or do you think that he's like, dude, what the heck?
No,
Emphasis on what the heck, by the way.
Had everything not, had the drama and everything that came along with it the last week not happen. I don't know, but because of the situation that you're in right now with his comments of I'm easy to get along with, his comments of my agent's going to handle that, the frustration that's been building in Mountain, now you get to the point where Jackson Kohler commits to BYU. I'm sure that irks people a little bit. And
by people, you mean Kalani Sitake.
I mean, probably just the football program as a whole, because I'm sure the staff are in the same boat. I'm sure maybe even some of the players might be on the same boat. Who knows? But you see that come through, and I think at first you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Right. There's fighting going on with the athletic department right now. But, part of the drama is, too, that, of course, we all know Brian Santiago comes from a basketball background.
Yes.
So how much of the drama is basketball versus football? Is football jealous that basketball has been, seeing all these resources over the recent years? They land A.J. DeBonsa, they land Bruce Branch III, they bring Rob Wright in and are able to retain him after a year. Like, that is costly. That takes a lot of money. And then these rumors come out that maybe BYU football and their roster isn't nearly as expensive as everybody is kind of assuming. You know, you assume that basketball is getting so much money dumped into it that, of course, the football team is too. And now it turns out that that's not really the case. And the football team isn't nearly as expensive as we thought it was. And they're pinching pennies and begging, you know, some of these players to take pay cuts. And they are, you know, credit to them, they are able to retain Bear Bachmeier and Falatau Satuala and LJ Martin, some of these players that had huge offers on the table from other schools or could have gone pro. And the football team is able to retain them because of the culture, but that culture only lasts so long. You can't sell the players on culture every single year. Eventually, they're going to want to get paid. So this is something that is going to need a resolution. And as we talked about earlier in the segment, Alex, even if it does get resolved, you know, if the next big school comes calling, if USC fires stinking Riley,
which is a very big possibility,
and they come calling,
yeah,
I don't think Kalani's going to make the same mistake twice. USC's not giving basketball a bunch more resources over their football team.
No, and you're absolutely right. Like, there is going to be I think there's going to be some Big Ten jobs that are going to open up this offseason that are going to be enticed and that are going to be looking for somebody like Kalani Sitake. Again, if Sitake goes and BYU goes and has a season similar to what we've seen the last 2 years, it is quite possible. But I think, you know, going back to a point that you made earlier, I think it's silly that the athletic department is pitting basketball versus football. You've got to find a way to, and I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you have to find a way to and be in a spot where both are happy and competitive.
Can you?
That's
the big question. That's the
problem.
Literally the $1 million question.
That's one of the problems with college sports these days.
Right. It seems like you have to pick one or the other. I mean, there aren't many schools. I guess Michigan right now, you know, football and basketball, they seem to be pumping resources into both, but not a lot of programs can do that because we're talking again. This NIL stuff started at like maybe $10 million total. Now we're talking about some of these athletic departments spending $50-60 million a season on, you know, that's when you're talking about football and basketball. So can BYU do that? I don't know.
I think ultimately you have to weigh right. Do you allow Kalani to stay upset? Do you allow Kalani to even consider leaving the university if an offer comes in December in the next off season? And do you continue to pump as much as you're pumping into basketball, or do you try to find a way to balance it a little bit more to make sure that you can keep Kevin Young happy and Kalani Sitake happy?
Well, and then I guess if you can only pick one, you know,
if
if
you
you can only
one,
pump resources into one, what is more valuable to a school? Assuming that you have return on your investment, which, let's be honest, is not a 100% guarantee. But let's, for the sake of the argument, assume that if you do pick a path, it will have return, right? Yep. So what is more valuable to a school? Let's say you pump resources into basketball and make the Elite Eight or Final Four, versus you pump resources into football and finally make the college football playoff that BYU's been on the doorstep of the last 2 years. What would be more valuable to a program? And I think there's a clear answer here.
There is, and it's the moneymaker. It's what drives.
It's always going to be football.
The reason why we're in the situation that we're in is because SEC football and the Big Ten football run college athletics.
Right.
It's not even just the basketball side of things. It's because football drives the boat, and football is the moneymaker. And the TV deals that they have for football are big moneymakers.
Huge.
So football drives the boat, and ultimately, I think it's unfortunate because I think looking at it from a fan perspective and looking at it from you weigh in an Elite Eight, Final Four run versus just a college football playoff appearance. You want to go on a run.
Yeah, that would be fun.
You want to make a deep run. You want to have the chance to go further. But if just making a college football appearance, I think overall is, again, from a fan perspective, it'll be more disappointing than making a Final Four run. Just making the college football playoff experience. Obviously, make a run, different story. But I think from the perspective of the athletic program or the athletic department, I do think that there is more value, more money to be made with just the college football playoff appearance.
Right. There always will be.
Right.
Because the college football playoff matters.
More exposure.
There's more exposure, and that's where BYU wants to be. That's where any athletic department wants to be. You ask any athletic department, would you rather be a top 12 football school or a top 12 basketball school? They're all going to say football because that brings so much more money. So you look at, the way that BYU athletic department has spent the last few years and all the money they've dumped into these recruits and transfers. It seems like they want to establish themselves as a basketball school while kind of threading the needle of being a college football playoff team, but not spending like a college football playoff team. But again, they haven't even made the playoff yet. They've been right there on the doorstep. Now, you could have the argument that they deserve to be in both years. I'm not here to make that argument right now. I'm here to just say that, you can't cheap out on your football roster forever.
Yeah.
Eventually, those kids are going to want money. Eventually, the cell of culture is only going to get you so far. So we'll see what happens, man. I do think it is a very interesting conversation as far as even if this is rectified, even if BYU does pony up and give Kalani what he requested, what he wants, the next time a school comes calling, does he say no? I don't know.
Well, it's up to the athletic department to get that relationship back to a good spot and to where it needs to be, because that's probably, I think, the big fear right now is the fact that come December, does he have the relationship enough to be like, you know what, I want to stay here, or is this soured him enough to be like, I don't know.
The ball is in the athletic department's court right now.
Absolutely,
it's up to them.
Absolutely.
So we'll see.
And good on Kalani, man. I think good on Kalani as far as putting the pressure on the decision makers to make sure that the football program is set up in the best spot. I know that there's a lot of people who I think ultimately would leading into a football season where you have so much promise and so much potential that you wouldn't want to have to deal with the drama that's now being associated with your athletic department and your relationship with your athletic director.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, in order for there to be change, something had to be said, and so I do commend him still for taking the opportunity that he did to make sure that people were aware of the situation that was going on down there at BYU, and not just letting it boil over behind the scenes to a point where you get to December and all of a sudden you're talking about a shocking departure from Kalani Sitake.
If a team came calling right now, of course we know this is not going to happen, can't happen, but if a team came calling right now, Kalani would leave. Right? It's safe to say? I guess let's say if the season ended today, right? If the season ended today or tomorrow and a team came calling.
It certainly feels that way.
It feels like Kalani would leave.
Certainly feels that way.
You've got however many months, six months to figure it out.
Yes. But as we've said on this show, as we've said multiple times here on the Saturday show, winning fixes everything.
That it does.
Winning fixes a lot. And if BYU's in a spot where they make that college football playoff appearance, that so elusive college football playoff appearance that they've wanted the last 2 years, then maybe the conversation changes quickly for the BYU athletic department.
Alex, thanks to you, we did get the YouTube situation figured out. So, of course, whether you are listening live on the radio or watching us on YouTube, or even if you're podcasting this later on, really appreciate everybody for listening. But I want to encourage you, on the YouTube comment section, you can always feel free to leave a comment or tweet at us. We were mentioning Osteomath on Twitter, or you can use the KSL Sports app and send us a voicemail. We love your feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this Kalani Sitake stuff, or going back to the Utah stuff with Freddie Whittingham. Let us know what you think.
Also, if you're just hanging out at home, and you want to pull up YouTube or whatever, you're just channel surfing, check out KSL 5.3. We're on there as well.
Okay, we are on TV.
We're on KSL 5.3, and if you have an Xfinity box, channel 381.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Get on there.
Get on there. Find us on the TV.
Absolutely.
You can find us. There's no excuse to not listen to the Saturday show.
There's so many ways to consume the KSL Sports Zone. There's so many ways to consume KSL Sports, whether it's the app, whether it's 5.3, whether it's streaming, whatever the case may be. There's plenty of ways to consume. So come join us every Saturday morning.
Technical Fouls coming up next. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
On the street with dirty shoes on your feet, that's a technical foul. If you switch the radio to some modern music show, that's a technical foul. If you touch the thermostat,
You'll get hit with a bat.
'cause that's a technical foul.
You will feel my wrath.
That's a technical foul.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
A technical foul.
Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, thank you for tuning in, making us a part of your Saturday morning. And we love the feedback. We always do. Opened up the YouTube earlier, got that up and running. We have a comment. Let's start off with that before we get into technical fouls. At Balden Go in the Hoop. I'll start off the chat. BYU is Kalani. Kalani is BYU. You lose him, who are you going to replace him with? He is the most BYU coach ever. BYU cannot botch this. Do what it takes to keep him. Totally agree.
Could not agree more.
You lose Kalani. You lose all the momentum that the football program has built over the last few years. Like, you look at specifically the last 2 years, the BYU's going in their fourth year in the Big 12. Their first year was okay. But then their second and third years in the conference, they're contending for the title. And you don't do that without Kalani Sitake, especially if you lose him now, you lose the culture that he has spent 10 years building up.
Right.
And it definitely feels like nobody else can really come in and do that. He doesn't have a successor the same way that Kyle Whittingham spent years preparing Morgan Scalley, getting ready for the Utah job, and even that's different because there is no guarantee that Morgan Scalley can coach. We're going to find out. But Kalani is one of one, and BYU cannot afford to lose him.
Right. It's something that we've said here on the show before, and it's truly, Kalani is BYU football. He is the face of the program. He is the culture. And I think Ball didn't go in the hoop, hit it right in the head. BYU cannot botch this. They cannot afford to let him leave unhappy.
Right, because if Brian Santiago lets Kalani go, that is a huge bad look for him, right? And that's always going to hang over his head as athletic director. And eventually when, if it comes time to cut ties with him eventually, then you're going to be like, okay, now we're out an athletic director and Kalani Sitake, right? So
right.
Can't let it happen.
Absolutely.
Let's get into technical fouls. I had one that I tweeted about this earlier in the week. So we talked about BYU landed Jackson Kohler. He was at Michigan State forever, and he spent the summer league with the Utah Jazz. Never signed a professional contract, mind you. He spent the summer league with the Jazz. He played in a couple of games. And then he's part of this class of 2022 that gets the injunction, and he can return to college for one more year. And he comes to BYU, and everybody knew he was going to BYU, right? Even before this happened, the rumor always was if he could get that extra year of eligibility, he was going to come to BYU. Everybody knew. But it becomes official, and On3, like a really big college sports account, makes the tweet. Former Utah Jazz forward Jackson Kohler has committed to BYU. Kohler played college basketball at Michigan State. And then the picture they use is a Utah Jazz jersey photoshopped on a Jackson Kohler. But here's my issue with this, and here's why I'm calling it out. Jackson Kohler never wore this jersey. And no, I'm not here to say, he wore the purple Jazz jersey instead of the white Jazz jersey. No, he never wore a Utah Jazz jersey. Period. End of day. He wore the summer league jerseys that they wear that are way different than their regular uniforms. And I'm almost here to say that, summer league NBA is not NBA. You can't call yourself a professional athlete if you played a few games in summer league. This is on 3 trying to rile people up on purpose, saying, oh, look, an NBA player is going back to college because that was the hubbub last year. That's not what this is. Jackson Kohler was not an NBA player. He probably could have stuck around in the NBA had he wanted to. But this is not a case of a professional athlete going back to college.
Right.
There are a couple NFL players this week that were playing in preseason games. Even that's different than NBA Summer League. NFL preseason, you have to actually sign a contract to play on those preseason teams. You know, the NBA has their own preseason. That's not Summer League. That's different. Jackson Kohler is not a professional athlete returning to BYU. This is just finding the hot topic and trying to make people upset.
Well, I mean, and that was a little bit of the hot topic this week, as far as, you know, the national thing is that TRO that was passed for the Ole Miss players and ended up grandfathering a lot of players who are currently, you know, fighting for spots on NFL rosters, currently fighting for spots to potentially make the final 53-man rosters in the NFL. And, you know, if they get cut and they get released out of their contracts by September 1st, they have a chance to make it back into college sports.
Right.
That was that, you know, that conversation is going on. So if you know, putting him in a Utah Jazz jersey, I feel just adds fuel to the fire of people being upset that professional players, professional people are going back to college sports and taking roster spots from guys who are competing to be at the college level.
But that's not what this is.
Yeah.
So
you're just fueling the fire.
Exactly. Yeah. Find something else to be upset about. This is minuscule.
You know what you can be upset about?
What's that?
Pat McAfee, man.
Oh, why are you mad? You're mad with the Pat? You didn't like his album?
Yeah, I got some Pat McAfee fatigue over here, man.
Oh.
I think that's where we're at. So Linda Cohn, who was a longtime ESPN legend, retired this past June. Spent anchoring most of her career anchoring SportsCenter on ESPN for a really, really long time. She jumps on a podcast. I guess it's her own show now that she's retired. She jumps on a podcast, and this is, you know, a former ESPN employee talking about the Pat McAfee love fest and how much Pat McAfee is enough Pat McAfee. And I think we're at the point where I've seen enough of Pat McAfee. You have the album that was dropped, and then now
Did you listen to it?
No, absolutely. That's a lie. Okay, that's a lie. I listened to the first song.
Yeah. And that was enough to turn it off.
That was enough for me. But then on top of that, too, now, obviously, oh, no, Sean.
Oh, I thought that was my phone. I was listening to this on the way in. I thought it was still playing on my phone.
No, Sean.
No, I have this in the system.
I know.
I had to play it on Jake.
I know. I did hear that.
I'm watching myself on YouTube. You got to see my reaction when this starts playing. Seriously, I thought this was my phone.
One of the conversations that happened this offseason was the fact that ESPN and was the big layoffs, right? After they acquired NFL Network, and then the news comes out that Pat McAfee's going to be making, what was it, $60 million or whatever the number was, an absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
Now you have him
60.
Right. Now you have him, you know, at this level where he's releasing an album. And on top of that, he's now been added to the Monday Night Football desk on ESPN.
Yeah. With Jason Kelce.
Yeah. So how much I completely agree with Linda Cohn. How much Pat McAfee is enough Pat McAfee?
Well, so the thing with Pat McAfee is that to the general fan, he is very entertaining. You know, I don't want to use the term casual because that's almost become derogatory. And I don't mean it that way. To the general fan, he is entertaining. And I have been entertained by Pat McAfee. I have.
In the past, yes.
Do I feel overwhelmed with the amount of Pat McAfee we are getting? Yes. To the diehard fan, yeah, he's an idiot. He's a loser. But that is what is selling right now.
Right.
That brand is what is selling. And the reason ESPN is pumping so much money into him is because he is bringing a lot of eyeballs, a lot of attention. You know, we always talk about those, you know, the field goal kicks that he does on College Game Day to give away money because those are funny. Those are entertaining. And, they are getting an investment on their return. So while it does feel overwhelming, frankly I understand, because that's just the way that media is. If you've got a personality, that people love to see and hear, why do you think we put DJ on everything? Everybody loves David James.
Right? And I mean, to keep it in the ESPN realm, that's why Stephen A. got to where he is today.
Yeah, because he brings eyeballs.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are fatigued with Pat McAfee, but he's not going anywhere.
No,
unfortunately,
he's not.
You're getting more Pitt.
Got a big contract.
Yeah. Let's see.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. I don't love Monday Night Football anyways. I think they have the weakest of the primetime broadcasts, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I like Thursday. I really like what Prime has done with the Thursday Night Football.
I like their production. I like their desk.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I like their people. It just annoys me that it's on Amazon. Just give it to me.
You don't like Jeff Bezos?
Just give it to me on TV. Just give it to me on TV.
Well, we all know Sunday Night Football is the best, obviously.
Yeah, and I get it. I have Amazon Prime, so it's automatically included in your Prime thing.
Yeah.
But if I were to ever want to move on from Prime, then I don't know, which I've considered because I really don't use it. The only thing I use it for is NFL at this point. So it's like
It's ironic. I really like.
They got me.
I like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. They're probably my favorite broadcast team. But the rest of that.
I like Van Pelt.
Does he do football?
Yeah, he hosts Scott Van Pelt. He's the one who hosts the Monday Night Show.
Yeah.
He's the one who hosts it.
No, that's okay. I thought you were talking about play-by-play stuff.
No.
That's why I was
I'm
confused.
talking about the desk now.
Right.
At ESPN for Monday Night Football, which Pat McAfee will now be on.
Well, I don't watch it anyways. I don't watch that because I don't like it.
I do because I'm a sicko. Give me all the football.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up next, we will get back into training camp stuff. We've got some sound that we could play. We heard from Kalani Sitake earlier this week. Maybe not. We'll get into that. We will see. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, our good friend PNW Ute, agrees with us on YouTube.
Hey, PNW, man.
He says, yeah, DJ equals the Pat McAfee of KSL Sports. He's just everywhere. You can't get away from DJ.
Yes.
You're listening from 6 to 10. There he is.
He called me.
You're listening to the ad breaks in between shows. There he is. You're listening on Friday nights. There he is. DJ's everywhere.
He's taken this funny approach now with the changes and everything to constantly remind me how much younger I am than him.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking about phone booths and how we didn't know how I've never seen a phone booth and have
Yeah.
And somebody tweeted in and was like, "Wow, DJ, you guys are just hiring kindergartners now." And so I got called a kindergartner in week 1 working with DJ.
That's funny. Well, yeah, all their listeners, they've been listening for a while. You can only listen for a while if you've got some years of experience.
That's true. That is true.
And to anybody of that age, I'm sure we seem like children.
Yes.
And, in the grand scheme of things, I guess we still are pretty green. So that's why we appreciate anybody listening on Saturdays.
But kindergartner, come on, man.
You didn't like that one?
No, I didn't like that one.
No, Jake and Ben have this running bit where they explain everything to me because I don't know a lot of things. If you've listened to Jake and Ben, you've heard them do this.
Yeah.
They'll talk about who'd they do it the other day with, like an actress, and they'll be like, Christian so-and-so was an actress from the 80s, was in these movies, and was really good.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it. Thanks.
That's me too when I filled in for you.
Yeah,
I just can't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember who the actress was.
It's a funny bit. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there
Yes.
one day,
We're learning.
but not kindergartners.
No.
Alex, let's jump into fall camp sound. It is fall camp time, and it ends next week, I believe, right? I think BYU,
Yes.
well, I don't want to spoil what Kalani says here, but I think BYU ends next week, BYU camp. I'm not quite certain when Utah ends, but game 1 is on the horizon, 2 weeks away. So the end of fall camp is near.
The end of fall camp is near, and it's time to start ramping up and getting game prep ready, man. It's time to get ready for week 1. Football's almost here.
Let's jump right in and listen to what Kalani Sitake had to say. This was yesterday from BYU camp.
Well, good practice. We've had some good live stuff, this week, and get scrimmage tomorrow. So we're 2 weeks out from the game, and really excited about where we're at right now. I've had a really good 2-minute situation with the team at the end of practice, and I love the way the guys are working. And so it's going to be a lot of fun and playing some real football now, and seeing the guys learn and develop in the last couple weeks has been awesome, and really excited where this is headed, and we just got to take advantage of all the time that we have. What questions do you have for me?
Kalani, what was the deal with the bright blue helmets? Those are the game helmets, right?
Yeah, I think because we've been wearing the white helmets most camp, and so we got to break in the helmets, and I think it's just so they didn't want to have it the first time that they're wearing the helmet is be in the game, and so I don't know. These guys are all spoiled. They have so many different helmets and shoes and all that stuff, so when I played, it was one helmet. That was it, and so so I think they have to just break them in a little bit and go with it. But it looks nice. I like the way the look of them, and I'm not sure what the uniform. Do we know what that is yet? Brett, do you know what it is?
I think it's royal top and white pants.
Okay, royal top and white pants. So I'm good with it. I like those colors.
When you brought in DeMario, he was originally going to do corners, and then you moved into safeties. I think, if I'm right. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, I think just looking at the candidates that we had for safeties and corners, we knew that DeMario could coach either one. And so, and he has head coaching experience with his time in Southern Utah. He has coordinator experience, and so really like the way that he works. And he's also best friends with General Guilford, so they're very similar in their teaching style. And we just knew that there could be some flexibility with him there, and the opportunity to get Lewis Walker and Demo was really important. And I think they're going to be really good for us this year.
Will tomorrow be your last full live stadium look like you planned halfway through?
Yeah, with a lot of the guys, we probably already passed that. We did some live stuff this week, and I don't know if we need some of the guys to be live, but there's others that need to feel like what it's like to be tackled and break tackles, and so we'll get a look at all those guys. And then there's certain things that we need to do, as a team to get these guys to be a little bit more physical, but the majority of the guys are all ready to go. We just got to keep them. I mean, it's you develop these calluses and you get your body ready with the sparring that we do. So we I think most of the guys are ready, but there's some others that a little bit soft skin need a little beaten up. So we'll get that done tomorrow, and then we'll be ready for the season when we get to 2 weeks away.
Yeah, once you get to next Saturday, then you're into ramp up mode in a typical game build up at that point.
And then we focus more on our opponents too. Midway, so a week and a half out, we're going to be focusing on Utah Tech, and right now we're trying to get all our stuff in and figure out what's the best game plan, the strategy for week 1. And so we'll just, it was a lot of work. The coaches did a great job, and we're almost there, but we'll need tomorrow, and we'll need the first 2 days next week to get ready.
When does fall camp officially close?
I think officially maybe in the middle of next week. Okay. And so I thought the camp, I mean, the guys were way more ready than ever before, and so things were a lot easier. You could tell these guys spent a lot of time being football junkies and studying the game and studying. I mean, they did a lot of player-run meetings and player-run practices where they actually got together and took the initiative themselves to get their team ready. So a lot of the teaching, it was already done before we even got to camp, and I'm really pleased with the way they responded to it. And now we're just focusing on the technique and all the little details that can get us there.
Back in spring, Kelly Pinga noted that maybe an area that was of focus going into fall was the depth at cornerback. How do you feel about that? Guys emerging, we saw like Kevin Doe in some coverage today. Mm-hmm. Just how do you feel about the depth at cornerback after Shmev and Trey? Yeah, and that's why we brought Jay Will here, so having him and seeing the development of K-Doe and seeing the development of Jordan Chris and Matthias Leach, those guys are coming along really nicely, and so we feel good about the depth there. Had Cannon DeVries playing some nickel for us too, and used Tommy there. So we've had a bunch of different
versatile looks with the defense. And so I feel like we're in a really good spot. And there's a lot of corners that can play and a lot of DBs that can play. We have safeties that can play corner. So there's a lot of cross-training between the two positions. That's why it's important to have a lot of great communication between Demo and Coach Walker.
Anything else?
The development of the mustache, could you elaborate on?
Oh, the mustache? Yeah. Honestly, I have a...
Okay, Kalani is still talking, but you heard it right there. They spent, I kid you not, Sean, how much time was left? They spent 2 minutes talking about Kalani Sitake's mustache. So if you want to hear that, you can go find it at kslsports.com/podcast or wherever you get your podcast. You can go and hear those 2 minutes of Kalani Sitake mustache talk, as well as Justin Kirkland and Reggie Frischnecht and everybody else who spoke this week. But of course, the 2 minutes of Kalani's mustache talk is probably what you're looking for if you're looking for Brigham Young University sound at KSL Podcast.
Yes. Always great to hear from Kalani. Always great to hear about the goings on down there at BYU during their fall camp, especially in a season like this, man, where you have so many, such high expectations, right? Such high of a want from the fan base to finally get over that hump and potentially win a Big 12 championship and potentially make it to a college football playoff.
Yeah, and I think everything's going to be under the microscope now because of what we've talked about the last 2 weeks with all of this drama going on behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, if you're Kalani, you've got to put that aside you and go out and win football games because, you know, you talk about teams coming, you know, hitting up your phone at the end of the year. That's going to stop if you're not winning football games anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? So for Kalani's best interest, whether he does feel like he needs to leave BYU or, you know, he wants to stay at BYU and win as many games as he can, like his ultimate goal is going to win games, is going to want to win games because that is better for everybody. It's better for him and his resume and his legacy. And of course, that's what BYU wants. And hopefully this year they're on the other side of the college football playoff committee.
Yep, that's where you want to get to. Again, as far as your BYU, it seems like right now, man, they have all the pieces in place, all the players in place to do so. Really, really excited about that defense. Really excited about Bear and his development and see where he's at heading into year 2. And we're so close. We're so close to seeing some of those answers. We're so close to seeing. And again, for BYU, I think even more so than the Utah conversation. Obviously, you take on an FCS school week 1, which is great. That's fine. But then week 2, you have a big, massive Big 12 test coming up with Arizona week 2 in Provo.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Let's hop across the valley, shall we? And listen to the other head coach, Morgan Scalley. This was not from yesterday. It was from earlier in the week. But it's always great to hear from Coach Scalley. Let's hear what he had to say.
Good. You're getting into the kind of the dog days of fall camp. You know, it's easy to have energy on day 1, easy to be excited on day 1. It's having that same energy throughout. Really good practice today, competitive. We're becoming better, situational mechanics, and so it's good that it's competitive right now, that you don't have one side dominating the other. And I think the coaches are doing a good job of keeping our guys fresh, but understanding we got to be physical.
Coach, offensive line was a big priority coming into camp. Do you feel like you've got this down to 2 or 3 combinations you feel good about?
Not yet. We're still a couple bumps and bruises that shifts things around, but we'll have our dudes by game 1.
Where does Obot fit into that?
He's looking really good, but he understands the stuff he needs to work on, and no spots are solidified right now.
You guys had a scrimmage on Saturday. What stood out from that, first scrimmage?
I would say the play of Matiaki Helu showed up in a big way. Lance Holtzclaw off the edge, making a bunch of plays, receivers downfield. So there's a lot of good stuff. I thought the situational mechanics, like I said, that's one thing that, at the beginning of camp, not clean enough, not fast enough, but much better. I'd say red zone work, kind of a mixed bag. We need to be more efficient, not enough touchdowns in the red zone, too many field goals. Having said that, the kicking game's really good. Kicking game is really good. Love our 2 kickers. Obviously Orion's been established as a punter, but both Dylan and Tanner are doing a nice job.
Morgan, obviously the offensive line has been a question mark for you guys. Just what else do you want to see out of them as fall camp progresses?
I would say I think we've gotten to the point where we're physical enough. The pre-snap penalties are being cut down. Just continued progress. There's not one glaring thing where I'm sitting there saying, like, we're deficient here. It's just maybe a little bit cleaner in the things that we're doing, from protection to taking on slanters. So, and they've got, one of the best teachers I know in Jordan Gross. So, I'm excited for that group and what they're going to show that first game.
How does the defense look right now?
Defense looks good. We're solidifying that, the D tackle spot. Same thing on offense. You get these bumps and bruises, guys, having to be out of practice or two. So still, that's up for grabs as well. Getting Carson Kafusi back and mixing in some guys. So that's unsettled right now.
Are you still exploring bringing back into Kawhi Rogers or any other class of 22 guys, or do you feel like this roster's set?
We feel pretty good right now.
This time last week, you talked about tensions being kind of high between the offense and the defense, and maybe even want them to cool down a little bit. What is the process like, and how neat is it to watch a team become a team when they stop competing with each other and start, jumping on the same page?
Oh, I think we have it now, and I wouldn't say, you have to be competitive without being combative. It's the stuff that's going to get you penalized, the extra shoves and stuff like that, and so there is a fine line, but our guys do a really good job of making sure that we don't take it to that next level where all of a sudden there's stupid penalties, and I would say it's really not an issue, and this is a very close team. I'm excited.
It seems like you've made a pretty intentional effort to invite former players back into the program, have them watch practice. Why is that important for you?
Why is it important to have alumni around? Well, man, they bled and sweat, and they love this program, and they want to know that there's a legacy there. That our current players didn't build this building. Our current players are building their own legacy. So there's a lot of guys with a lot of passion for this program. The way it's been run, the family atmosphere, they need to know that continues.
You talked about, obviously, the offensive and defensive line. There's still positions up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
How about the depth and your pecking order at wide receiver, corner, some of those other positions?
Just lovely. We got good ones. I'm not going to tell you what that depth is, but we got good depth, and you do your fantasy draft or whatever. That we got really good ones. I'm excited for that group both, and that's another group that traditionally they're sitting there in their fights every day with the wide receivers and DBs. They do a really good job of pushing each other, but knowing that we got to get to the party healthy.
Just lovely, Alex.
Just lovely.
There you go. That is Utah head coach Morgan Scally addressing the media during camp. One big takeaway there, and something that we will hit on the other side. Scally says they are not interested in bringing anybody in from that class of 2022 injunction. A big player, they brought up Nakari Rogers, another big player, Blake Cotton, that had spent the preseason with the Denver Broncos. He has come back to college football, but he's entering the transfer portal. Sounds like Utah is not going to be in on him. Scally says the roster is set.
Yes, we'll get more into that too, because there's a lot happening with this. There's a lot happening with the injunction. There's a lot happening with the TROs. That now the one that we talked about a couple weeks ago with the Colorado judge, essentially giving eligibility to the class of 2022. Now that potentially it's stayed, so that's potentially going to change. Where does that leave a guy like Jackson Kohler, who committed to BYU yesterday?
More on that next.
Yes.
Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, thank you for tuning in, making us a part of your Saturday morning. Hope hope you got great plans. Whether your kids are back in school, maybe this is your first Saturday after the kids have started school back up. I don't know, it's not like do you have siblings still in school?
No, they're all graduated.
Okay. I don't know how the first week is. It used to just be kind of like what do they call it, disclosure week or whatever?
Yeah. They're both in college, and so they still go to school, but it's drastically different from high school, so I don't have anybody at the high school age or the high school level.
Or younger,
yeah. But
I would assume the first week they're not asking a lot of these kids.
Probably not, no. I mean, from when I was in high school and from when we were in high school, like I don't remember ever doing anything that first week. It was, these are the rules, and we'll start work next week.
There you go. Yeah, why even bother? So, yeah, if your kids started school and now you have to have them back in the house, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. Some people want the kids out.
My parents are definitely ones that wanted us out. After 3 months or however long summer vacation was, like my mom was like, "Get out of here!
I will
go back to school."
I won't name drop, but people here at the station that have kids, I've overheard a conversation and like, "Yeah, I'm so ready for my kids to start school again." It happens.
It's funny. Yeah, it's that time of year, man. But I hope everybody, who has children that are going to school, whether that's high school, college, elementary, whatever the case may be, hope you guys have a fantastic school year.
You heard on the intro there, it is time for 5 minutes of. Got a few things left to talk about, not a ton of time left. But Alex, let's start here. You ever seen The Office, the episode where Michael's talking about Jan made him get a vasectomy and then made it get reversed, and it was snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap?
Yes.
That's where we're at with the class of 2022 injunction.
Right.
They were not eligible. They were eligible. Now they're not eligible again unless ... I
think one of the most annoying things about this whole situation is the fact that this all could have been avoided had the NCAA just grandfathered the class of 2022 into their new 5-for-5 rule.
But why would they do that? Because that's too easy. And the NCAA wants to make things difficult, and they want to ruin everybody's lives.
Yes.
So why would they do that?
Yes.
Because now they are willing to take this to court for seemingly each individual case. And I know it's not quite that bad, but so the latest on the ruling is you are ineligible unless you had a previous lawsuit filed. What are they calling it? Restraining order filed, which is funny language. I don't know why it's technically called that. That's beyond my salary.
Level of expertise.
But all I know is that certain people are still eligible. Names like Jackson
Kohler, because, and big shout out to our guy Mitch Harper for putting this out there. But Mitch put out that because Kohler is involved in a TRO that's happening in the state of California, it has he will still have eligibility for now.
So
I say for now because I'm sure the NCAA is going to go after that TRO as well. Essentially what had happened was, if you remember the Judge Sweeney, and I only remember Sweeney because of Sydney. Judge Sweeney.
Wait, go back.
I only remember it's Judge Sweeney because of Sydney.
Okay.
Judge Sweeney
I like it.
Gave a TRO in this Colorado that essentially gave eligibility to 2022 class of 2022 athletes. That TRO has now stayed after the NCAA won an appeal. The big one from Colorado has now been stayed, but apparently Kohler and his situation is happening in California, which is a whole different other TRO. Which again, like, why can people go to one state, file something, get a TRO there, and then have a completely different situation in another state, in another whatever? It's all confusing. It's all crazy to follow, and it all could have been avoided had the NCAA just said, hey, you know what? Class of 2022, you guys are getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
We're going to grandfather you into all this.
Right. It's too easy. Why would they do the easy thing that makes sense?
Makes no sense.
I think that is the very frustrating part about this, is that it's always a headache. They're always trying to win every minor battle that they can just to say that they did. Just to say that they fought a battle and won, because they have been made a fool of over the last few years with everything. So now they feel like they being the NCAA, feel like they need to save face and make themselves look better with every single court win that they can get. So that's the point where we're at.
Well, and then on top of that, you go to the East Coast. You go down to the great state of Louisiana, and there's another one,
right,
where now NFL players who have been in contracts or are fighting for a roster spot or can potentially move on to practice squads or whatever the case may be, now can go back to college football if they still have another year of eligibility.
Blake Cotton being one of those was on the Utes roster, of course, last year. Spent the preseason with the Denver Broncos. You just heard Morgan Scalley in the previous segment. He was asked about Nakari Rogers, was a name that was also brought up multiple times this offseason. If he received another year of eligibility, would Utah be interested in bringing in Nakari Rogers or really anybody else? And Scalley basically said the roster's set. And frankly, that's where a lot of these football programs are because, again, week 0 is next week. Yes. Week 1 is 2 weeks away.
Yes.
So unless Texas Tech is getting David Bailey back, which of course is not happening. That's just an example of the caliber of player that you'd want to bring in. You're not bringing in some bench guy just because he has an extra year of eligibility. You've got your rosters set. You've got your rotations almost set. It's time to focus on the games. Why bring in another player who's going to complicate all that? Again, unless it's some star player, that's a different situation. But we are seeing some of these instances, whatever. It's a headache. It's a mess.
Well, did you see the possibility of, because of this whole situation, the possibility now that Texas Tech might have a quarterback after all?
Oh, who's that?
You remember Tommy Castellanos, FSU?
Not Nick Castellanos. 6-year anniversary of that, by the way.
No, not that
one. Hitting it deep in the left field.
Yeah, not that one. Yes. Not that one. But Tommy, he was the former Florida State quarterback.
Okay.
Now, because of everything that's happening, he might have some eligibility left. Of course, there's still, I think, legal battles to be had with everything that's, with all these TROs, with all these injunctions. There's still legal battles to be figured out. But Texas Tech is trying to bring in Tommy Castellanos.
Well, they'll sit there and tell you that Will Hammond has been their guy and will always be their guy, and then they'll tell you one thing and then show you another thing by trying to bring a different quarterback on top of him. So that tells you what Texas Tech thinks about Will Hammond as a quarterback.
And it just goes further to show that college sports is an absolute mess.
Of course.
It's a mess.
No chance of it getting fixed anytime soon, by the way.
Nope. Not when you're 8 days away from the football season starting.
Great point.
No, because the football season is going to start here in 9 days. We're going to be playing football, and everybody's going to forget everything that's going to happen. And then, once December rolls around, we see another Lane Kiffin situation. We start seeing some transfer portal situations, some, what do you call it? The tampering situations. We're going to be right back to square one. And we're just going to go through another summer of injunctions, another summer of drama, intrigue, suspense, whatever you want to call it, because it's just the repeating cycle until somebody can figure it out. NCAA.
Yeah, no, they're not going to. Some other news that we never really got to talk about. The Utah Jazz schedule dropped. We are so excited for the Jazz season to be here because it's going to be hopefully playoff basketball. And now, you used to look at the schedule during the tank note era and be like, okay, are the Jazz going to be able to lose enough games to hold on to their pick? When do they need to start tanking? Now you look at it and say, okay, how many wins can the Jazz get? What stretches, what opportunities can they take advantage of to make the playoffs? And I think this is a very interesting schedule because it does matter, right? Some teams benefit from their schedule. Some teams are really hurt by their schedule. I think looking at the Jazz in particular, one thing that's going to hurt them is they have quite a few one-night homestands amidst road stretches. December and February in particular. You look at February, they've got 1, 2, 3 separate instances where they have just a one-game homestand. And I think you talk about a young team that at that point, that late in the year, or I guess midway through the season at that time, they're going to need as much home rest as they can get. That's an area where you look like, okay, if stuff hits the fan, it's probably going to be around then.
Yeah.
Because you've got your young team hitting the wall, kind of unraveling, not knowing how to make a playoff push at that point. And then on top of that, you've got the lack of rest because you've got all these one-game homestands, a lot of road games during that stretch. not a fan of the way that this schedule cracked during the month of February for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, it's not. Plus, you have the All-Star break kind of smack down right in the middle of everything.
Right.
In that
At
month of February.
at least you get the break there. But
So,
of course, are they at home hanging out?
Probably not. Probably not. I do think there are a couple things that stick out to me as far as the schedule goes, and of course, I think a lot of people have national intrigue when it comes to the national games, and so of course you have AJ DeBonsa versus Darren Peterson on national television coming up in that month of February that you're talking about.
Sucks they have to make us wait that long.
I know.
February 27th.
But you'll be able to see Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonsa going head to head
in Utah
on national television.
And that was on purpose too, because it's AJ
absolutely.
DeBonsa coming back to Utah.
Absolutely.
So of course their first meeting was always going to be in this state. But it is weird. Yeah, they're not going to play until February, and then they play again. The only other time they see them 1 week later.
Yes.
So their 2 games against Washington are 1 week apart, end of February and beginning of March. That's odd.
And then, of course, you have pretty early on in the season, you'll be able to see what Walker Kessler looks like in yellow at the Los Angeles Lakers.
Coming to Utah.
The first Sunday of the NBA season.
October 25th.
Yeah.
You think he's going to get booed?
I'm hesitant to say yes, but I think I think probably yes.
Yeah, there was
because the reaction that I've seen online and some of the stuff that I've seen people say online since the schedule was dropped about specifically the Los Angeles Lakers was the fact that they really took to the Instagram post that he had made, right, about wanting to be in Utah, about wanting to stay in Utah.
You don't put roots where you don't want to grow.
Yeah, you don't put roots, that whole Instagram thing. And people have now taken,
Then turn around and bounce a week later.
Right. When it first came out, people were like, oh, this is awesome. Like, that's such a great quote. And now people are like, you suck. You're the worst. because you left a week later. And so I'm sure that there is some animosity, and there will probably be some boos there from
most of the time when a player is traded, it wasn't their choice. But this is obviously a completely different situation because Walker was a restricted free agent.
Right.
And he chose to go talk to LA. Yep. And he chose to not take the Jazz's offer. Whether or not the Jazz lowballed him, I don't really know the exact offer. There's been a lot of rumors. I don't know how far apart the Jazz and Walker Kessler were. But at the end of the day, he chose to go to L.A., and the Jazz took advantage of that and got a bunch of picks in return. So whatever. I'm with you. I think he'll get booed.
And then, of course, you'll open up the season with Jaren Jackson playing Memphis for the season opener.
At Memphis.
He goes back to Memphis.
Walt Clayton revenge game.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick, they do get a nice stretch to end the season at home. They've got 4 home games in a row. Their last game of the season will be at Golden State, but their previous 4 games before that will all be at home. So that'll maybe be a nice opportunity to make one last push for playoff seeding, not just to make the playoffs. So Jazz season feels like it's just around the corner. We still got a couple months to wait, but very excited for the NBA season this year. Let's take a break, Alex, and then on the other side, we will wrap things up. This is the Saturday Show. Stick with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If you remember the Judge Sweeney, and I only remember Sweeney because of Sydney. Judge Sweeney.
Wait, go back. Wrapping up another edition of the Saturday Show. I'm Christian Esparza. Alex Napoles with me. As always, got Sean producing behind the glass. Thank you for sticking with us one more week. 2 weeks out, Alex, from the start of college football season.
Yes, we're so close. It's really excited for the football season. Wish we had more time too, because there's still so much, that happened this week that we didn't even have a chance to get to. But there's the NBA ownership drama that's happening with Matt Ishbia, with the Lakers and everything happening there. There's a couple big moves, a couple big trades, a couple big things happening in the NBA. DeRozan last night signing for the Denver Nuggets after Peyton Watson gets traded to the Cavaliers.
Yeah,
many thoughts there, but. There's still just so much, and we're so close to getting to college football Saturday.
I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
we were making some intros yesterday. Lloyd and I were working.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited.
Okay, I haven't heard them.
We were just editing the ones from last year.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, that is 2 weeks away, and we are so excited because it's gonna be great years, not just for BYU and Utah, but Utah State as well. So want to make sure that we include them when we talk about our local college football teams, because Bronco teams traditionally make a big jump in year 2. And then you've got Kalani returning at BYU. And, of course, the big intrigue is how does Morgan Scalley do after Kyle Whittingham leaves.
And I think that there's a lot of intrigue up there in Logan because I think everybody up there recognizes the opportunity that they're in. I know it's not the Big 12 of old, but if you can come in and make some noise the Pac-12, if you can go in and make some noise in the new Pac-12, then kind of cement yourself as a team that's going to be competitive. Kind of cement yourself as a team that's always going to be in the mix for Pac-12 championships. And I think a lot of people up there realize that. And there's also going to be some intrigue for that Utah State season.
I'm excited, man. 2 weeks away. Hey, here's what we got on today's docket here on the station. Coming up at 4:30 RSL pregame as they get ready to take on Orlando. 5:30 first kick. That will be on 97.5. Over on the 1280 side, you're going to have the Bees taking on the Reno Aces. That game starts at 6:20. The on-deck circle starts at 6:20, 6:35 first pitch. Then coming up tomorrow, the Bees wrapping that series against the Aces. That will be on both signals, 97.5 and 1280. On-deck circle starts at 5:50 for the Bees tomorrow, and then 6:05 first pitch. For Alex and Sean, I'm Christian. It's the Saturday Show. Catch you next week.